Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. What if your setback was never meant to stop you, only to shape you? What if the pain you've been through wasn't punishment, but preparation? We live in a world where people love to talk about limitations, what can't be done, what's too hard, what's too late. But I'm here to tell you, the greatest power in your life is not your past, it's your decision. It's what you decide to believe today about who you are and what you're capable of. I don't care where you started. I care where you're going. Some of you were born into struggle. Others were born into silence. But hear me, you were not born to be average. You were born to be exceptional. And that means your background is not your ceiling. It's your foundation. Barack Obama once said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. But it doesn't bend by itself. It bends because people decide to step up. People like you. It bends because someone says, 'This pain won't break me. It will build me.' Your setback is preparation, not punishment. Your background is your foundation, not your ceiling. Purpose is born from pressure, not comfort. Stop waiting. Create your own moment. You carry brilliance and greatness within you. Refuse to settle, and your story will inspire others. Your setback is preparation, not punishment." This simple truth carries more power than most people realize. Too often, we look at the challenges in our lives as signs that we are doing something wrong. When things go wrong, when the business fails, when the relationship ends, when the deal falls through, we assume we're being punished. We assume it's a sign that we should give up, take a safer route, or lower our expectations. But what if that setback wasn't a signal to stop, but an opportunity to grow into the version of yourself required to carry the weight of your future success? Every person who has ever achieved something significant has a story of failure, of loss, of rejection. The difference is they didn't let the pain define them, they let it refine them. Setbacks are not signs of weakness. They are invitations to develop strength. They are part of the process, not the opposite of progress. If you look at any mountain climber, they don't build their strength on the summit. They build it on the way up, where the terrain is rough, the air is thin, and every step feels like a struggle. That's where the real transformation happens. When you're in a season of difficulty, it's tempting to ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But the better question is, what is this preparing me for? Because when you start to see setbacks as preparation, you begin to value the process, even when it's painful. You begin to recognize that every obstacle is sharpening your skill, building your character, increasing your endurance, and humbling your spirit. And these are exactly the qualities you'll need when you step into your calling. Preparation doesn't always look pretty, but it always has purpose. Think about the seed in the ground. Before it ever breaks through the soil, it has to go through darkness. It has to endure pressure. It has to crack open. From the outside, it might look like destruction, but from the inside, it's a transformation. The roots are forming. The foundation is being set. In the same way, when you're facing your hardest moments, you're not being destroyed. You're being developed. Setbacks teach us what success cannot. Success feels good, but it doesn't always build resilience. Setbacks do. They show us what we're made of. They reveal what needs to be healed, strengthened, and rebuilt. They strip away the illusion of control and force us to tap into our inner grit. They demand that we stop relying solely on what we know and start depending on who we are becoming. Sometimes the delay is necessary because the dream is bigger than your current capacity. If you received it right now, it would crush you. So the delay is not a denial, it's a development period. It's the space where your emotional maturity, your discipline, your mindset, and your habits are aligned with your destiny. You might not see it yet, but something is happening beneath the surface. That pain is building perseverance. That disappointment is building discernment. That failure is building focus. Many people want the outcome, but they don't want the preparation. They want the reward without the resistance, but life doesn't work that way. Every meaningful achievement requires the muscle of endurance, and that muscle is only built in seasons of difficulty. That's why your setbacks are so valuable. They are life's way of preparing you for something greater than you imagined. You are being trained to carry more, to lead better, to stand taller, and to last longer. When you look back on your life, you'll realize that it wasn't the easy seasons that made you who you are. It was the storms you survived, the betrayals you overcame, the losses you turned into lessons, the doors that closed only to redirect you to better ones. You didn't get stronger in spite of the setback. You got stronger because of it. So the next time you're tempted to give up, remember this. The very thing that looks like it's breaking you might be the thing that's building you. The resistance is not the enemy. It's the evidence that you're moving in the right direction. The pressure you feel is proof that you're growing. Your setback is not the end of your story. It's the classroom where greatness is forged, where champions are made, and where leaders are born. Your background is your foundation, not your ceiling. So many people walk around carrying the weight of where they came from as if it's a permanent limitation. They let their upbringing, their environment, or their family history define the level of success they believe they're allowed to achieve. But your background was never meant to confine you. It was meant to shape you. It was meant to give you depth, perspective, and drive. It was meant to give you the contrast between what was and what can be. Your story isn't something to hide or be ashamed of. It's the evidence of your resilience, your survival, and your strength. Where you started does not determine where you can go. Maybe you were born into poverty. Maybe you were raised around dysfunction, scarcity, or fear. That doesn't mean your future has to look the same. Your past is a place of reference, not residence. You don't have to live under the shadow of limitation. You can build something new. You can create a life that looks nothing like the one you came from. But you can't do that if you keep treating your background like a prison instead of a platform. People often think their circumstances disqualify them from success. They think, I didn't have the education, or I wasn't raised with the right connections, or I didn't grow up around people who dreamed big. And that may be true, but if anything, that makes you more qualified, not less. Because you've had to hustle, you've had to grind, you've had to learn how to figure things out on your own, and that kind of grit, that's priceless. That's the stuff that separates people who only talk from the people who actually build. Your foundation doesn't have to be glamorous. It just has to be solid. Cement is messy. It gets poured, pressed, and leveled, and then it gets hardened through time, pressure, and stillness. That's what your background has done for you. It's created a base that, if you choose to build on it, can support something extraordinary. You don't have to hide where you came from. You have to use it. You have to take the lessons, the pain, the struggle, and let it push you forward instead of holding you back. When people tell you that you're dreaming too big or reaching too high or aiming for something you're not qualified for, remind yourself that their opinion is shaped by their own ceiling, not yours. Their expectations don't determine your potential. You get to decide what your background means to you. You can see it as an anchor, or you can use it as a launch pad. You can let it hold you down, or you can let it give you the momentum to rise above everything that tried to keep you stuck. We live in a culture that idolizes status and appearances, but real substance comes from struggle. The people who build legacies aren't always the ones with the cleanest backgrounds. They're the ones who were willing to dig deep, to grow from their roots, and to defy what others thought was possible. They didn't wait for a better start. They made the most of what they had. That's what you can do. That's what you must do. because nobody else can live your purpose. Nobody else has your exact story, your exact wiring, your exact blend of strengths and scars. And that's not a disadvantage. That's your advantage. That's your uniqueness. That's your identity. Your background didn't break you. It built you. It gave you what the world can't teach in classrooms or boardrooms. It gave you experience. It gave you empathy. It gave you edge. So when you step into the room, don't shrink back. Don't hide your roots. Bring them with you. Let them remind you how far you've come. Let them fuel you to keep going. Let them prove to the world that where you started may explain your hunger, but it will never limit your destiny. Purpose is born from pressure, not comfort. It's in the tough moments, the moments you didn't ask for, the ones that squeezed you, challenged you, maybe even broke you a little, that your true reason for being begins to rise to the surface. Comfort never forces you to ask who you really are. Comfort doesn't require you to grow, to stretch, or to push beyond your limits, but pressure does. Pressure is the birthplace of discovery. When life gets hard, you learn what you value. When the heat is turned up, you find out what you're made of. Purpose doesn't emerge when everything is easy. It shows up when everything is on the line. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pressure. They stay in safe jobs, surround themselves with familiar routines, and avoid taking risks. But the danger in avoiding pressure is that you also avoid purpose, because purpose doesn't live in the shallow end. It lives in the deep waters, and you don't find it until you're forced to dive into something bigger than yourself. You don't find purpose by coasting. You find it by confronting. Think about the times you've grown the most. Were they easy seasons? Probably not. Growth often comes wrapped in hardship. It shows up through loss, failure, disappointment, or unexpected change. And it's in those moments, when your plans fall apart and you're forced to rebuild from the ground up, that clarity begins to come. You start to strip away what doesn't matter. You begin to recognize what truly drives you. That's pressure working its magic. That's purpose being born in the fire. Diamonds are made under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. Trees grow stronger in storms. The same principle applies to people. Your trials are not pointless. The weight you're carrying isn't wasted. It's developing you. It's preparing you for the calling that's already calling your name. But calling requires capacity, and capacity is built through pressure. If you want to walk in purpose, you have to be willing to endure the tension that shapes you into the kind of person who can carry it. Purpose will not be handed to you. It will be drawn out of you, and the tool life uses to draw it out is pressure. The pressure to make decisions when no one else is stepping up. The pressure to keep going when quitting would be easier. The pressure to believe in something greater when your current reality doesn't reflect it yet. That pressure is not your enemy, it's your training ground. It's the signal that something powerful is being developed inside of you. You don't become a person of purpose by accident. You become that person by walking through seasons that reveal what matters most. When you lose what you thought you couldn't live without and you're still standing, you begin to see that maybe your life was meant for something deeper. When you've been broken, humbled, and stretched, and yet you find yourself more focused, more driven, and more convicted, that's not coincidence. That's purpose in progress. Many people think they'll find purpose when everything finally goes right. But in reality, purpose usually comes when everything feels wrong and you choose to keep moving forward anyway. It's not discovered in the spotlight. It's developed in the shadows. It grows in the grind. It forms when you decide that your pain will not be wasted, that your struggle will serve something greater, that your life will mean more than just surviving. When you face pressure, you have two options: retreat or rise. Most people retreat, they back away, numb themselves, shrink down, or try to go back to what's familiar. But the few, the ones who find real purpose, they rise, they step into the discomfort, they lean into the tension, they embrace the resistance because they understand something most don't. The pressure is proof that they're in the right place to be transformed. Stop waiting, create your own moment. One of the greatest lies people believe is that they have to wait for the right time. They wait for permission, wait for validation, wait for the perfect opportunity, the right resources, the green light from someone else. But the truth is, most of those moments never come. People waste years waiting for a breakthrough that could have been built. Waiting feels safe, but it's a silent killer of dreams. The people who change their lives, who shift generations, who leave a mark, those are the ones who decide they won't wait any longer. Waiting is often disguised as preparation, but in reality, it's often just fear in a costume. Fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of not being enough. But fear cannot be the author of your story. If you want to move, if you want to grow, if you want to build, you have to act. You have to take the risk of stepping into something before it's fully formed, before you feel ready. Because readiness doesn't come before action. It comes because of it. There is no perfect timing. There is only now. There is only this moment, this breath, this decision. The people who seem lucky are not lucky. They are bold. They decided that someday was too expensive. They understood that opportunity rarely knocks. It's usually built by the hands of someone who got tired of waiting. If you want to change your life, you have to stop living like you have unlimited time. You don't. Tomorrow is not promised, and the longer you wait, the heavier regret becomes. You don't need a stage to speak truth. You don't need millions of dollars to start a vision. You don't need applause to begin walking in purpose. What you need is belief. Belief that what you carry inside you is enough to start. That where you are right now is exactly where you need to be to take the first step. That the moment you've been praying for might not come from the outside. It might begin with you. Creating your own moment means being proactive. It means writing the email, making the call, learning the skill, building the habit, starting the project. It means showing up even when you feel overlooked. It means choosing discipline over distraction. It means saying yes to growth and no to excuses. Most importantly, it means owning your power, not power over people, but power over your choices. Stop telling yourself you're waiting for clarity. Clarity comes with movement. Stop saying you're waiting for the right connection. The right people show up when you're walking in the right direction. Stop acting like you need everything to be perfect before you begin. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Start messy. Start small. Just start. The moment you decide to take full responsibility for your life is the moment things begin to shift. When you stop blaming your past, your circumstances, or other people, you reclaim your power. You realize that the future doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most intentional, the ones who move, the ones who act in faith, not fear. You don't need more time. You need more courage. More courage to fail, more courage to look foolish, more courage to keep going when nothing's working. That's where moments are born. That's where breakthroughs are made. When you stop waiting to be discovered and decide to show up and be consistent, people begin to notice. Doors begin to open, but none of that happens until you make the move. Creating your own moment is not about hype, it's about ownership. It's about deciding that your destiny is too important to put on hold. It's about being willing to look back one day and say, that was the moment I stopped making excuses. That was the moment I stopped waiting for permission. That was the moment I took the first step toward the life I knew was mine. You carry brilliance and greatness within you. That's not just a motivational phrase. It's a truth that far too many people have forgotten. You weren't created to blend in, to shrink, or to apologize for existing. There is something in you, an idea, a voice, a skill, a perspective, that nobody else on the planet carries in exactly the same way. That brilliance is not outside of you. It's not in a title, a degree, or someone else's opinion. It's already there, inside you, waiting to be activated. But it won't come alive until you start believing it's real. Most people walk around with power they never access. They've been told they're average. They've been trained to settle. They've been taught to suppress their instincts, their creativity, their fire. So they live on autopilot. They follow the script. They stay small, but staying small doesn't serve the world. It doesn't serve your future. Playing it safe might keep you comfortable, but it will never make you come alive. You were made to shine, not shrink. Brilliance isn't about being the loudest or the smartest person in the room. It's about recognizing that you have something meaningful to offer, something only you can bring. Maybe it's your way of solving problems. Maybe it's your ability to connect with others. Maybe it's your resilience, your creativity, your leadership, your heart. Whatever it is, it's not random. It's part of your design, and if you ignore it, the world misses out. Greatness is not reserved for a select few. It's the result of choosing to lean into your potential every single day. It's the product of discipline, consistency, and a deep belief that what's in you is valuable. The problem is, most people wait to feel great before they act great, but that's backward. You don't feel your way into greatness. You act your way into it. You make decisions that align with the person you're becoming, not just the one you've been. There will always be people who try to dim your light. People who are uncomfortable with your drive, your ambition, your confidence. But that's not your problem. You don't need to dial down your brilliance to make others feel better. You need to own it. You need to develop it. You need to protect it. Because if you don't believe in what's inside of you, no one else will. Too many people are waiting for external proof before they give themselves permission to shine. But greatness starts with recognition, not results. You have to recognize your value before it shows up in your bank account, your audience size, or your opportunities. You have to walk like it, talk like it, think like it, before anyone else sees it. That's how you activate it. That's how you step into it. You don't need to be perfect to carry greatness. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be committed to the process. You need to show up like your life has meaning, because it does. You need to speak like your words matter, because they do. You need to move like your steps are leading somewhere, because they are. Your brilliance isn't loud, it's consistent. It shows up in the way you handle challenges, in the way you keep going when others give up, in the way you take responsibility, lead with integrity, and build even when no one is clapping. That's greatness. That's legacy in the making. Don't wait for the world to validate what's already true. You carry brilliance and greatness within you, and it's time to stop treating it like a secret. It's time to stop hiding your gifts behind fear or false humility. You don't need anyone's permission to be powerful. You just need to decide that what's in you deserves to be seen, developed, and shared. Refuse to settle, and your story will inspire others. There's a moment in every person's journey where they're faced with a choice. Stay where it's safe or push towards something greater. Settling is the easier path. It doesn't ask much of you. It doesn't stretch you or confront your doubts. It lets you survive without demanding that you grow. But deep down, you know that comfort can become a cage. You were not designed to live beneath your potential. You were not created to get by. You were created to rise. When you settle, you silence the voice inside you that says there's more. You start to adjust your dreams to fit your current reality instead of adjusting your reality to match your dreams. You start convincing yourself that your situation is good enough, even though something in you feels restless. That restlessness isn't a problem. It's a signal. It's your purpose tapping on the walls of your comfort zone, asking if you're going to stay stuck or step up. The world doesn't change because of people who settle. It changes because of people who decide that mediocrity is not their identity. People who refuse to accept what's easy when they know excellence is possible, and that refusal, it creates a ripple. Your decision to live fully, to chase your calling, to take the hard road, it gives other people permission to do the same, because when you break the mold, you don't just elevate yourself. You become proof that it can be done. Refusing to settle doesn't mean life gets easier. In fact, it usually means more resistance, more sacrifice, more moments where you question if it's worth it. But it is. Every time you push through fear, you grow. Every time you reject average, you build confidence. Every time you say no to the easy way out, you get one step closer to becoming the person you were meant to be. And that person, that version of you, they're unstoppable. Your story has power, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. When people see you choosing excellence in a world that rewards shortcuts, when they see you showing up day after day without applause, when they see you pursuing vision over validation, that speaks louder than any speech. It shows them what's possible. It lights the path for someone else to walk boldly in their own journey. There is someone watching you right now who needs to see you win, not because they're competing with you, but because your victory gives them hope. Your progress reminds them that it's not too late. Your refusal to settle gives them the courage to try one more time. This is bigger than just your goals. This is legacy. This is influence that can't be faked or bought. It's earned through consistency, conviction, and courage. You don't inspire people by living a life of ease. You inspire them by showing what's possible when you refuse to back down. When you demand more from yourself, when you raise your standards, when you set the tone instead of following it. That's leadership. And leadership starts with how you lead your own life. It starts with the choices you make when no one is watching. It starts with the inner decision that says, I won't stop here. There's more in you, more capacity, more strength, more vision, but you'll never access it if you settle. You'll never know what you're truly capable of if you always take the safe road. You were built for something greater, and that greatness is unlocked every time you choose not to accept less than what you're capable of, every time you go further than what's expected, every time you raise the bar instead of lowering your aim.